What's going on, car guys and car gals? Welcome back for a fabulous Fixed Ops Friday.
What?
This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
This is Fred Lenart, subprime hero.
And we are excited to bring in the other host of this show, the one, the only,
Brad Pasco.
Let's go. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the party.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Dude, you know,
Really,
usual,
really,
just
really
enjoying
good.
ourselves, getting ready to have a good time. I know you brought in a special guest this week, and I'm pumped up because, man, when I read his bio, I saw a lot of amazing little pinpoints that made me go, dang, this guy's been around and he's talked about a lot of amazing things. He's been able to share his knowledge of what he does, man. So I'm excited to have him on the show. Brad, great call on this. Pumped up, man. How you doing?
Good, man. So yeah, the guys that we're gonna bring on, this is an interesting story. So I first got into the marketing game at a Volkswagen store, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Right. So never been a marketing person in my life. Never knew anything about it. So I asked my general manager. I said, "Hey, who's the number one store in all of Volkswagen?" And at the time, it was Southtown Volkswagen up in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Right.
So I looked up and I saw this guy, and he was bald and good looking, and I thought it said e-commerce director. I didn't know what the hell that meant, but I figured I Googled it and it said marketing person. And so I called this guy by the name of Bryan Armstrong, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm new to Volkswagen. I'm new to marketing. Can I learn from you?" And he goes, "Are you in my market?" That was his first question. I go, "It's about as far as from your market as you can get." He goes, "Yeah." And so that's how we met. So our guest today is Bryan Armstrong. Okay. He is officially the e-commerce director of Southtown Volkswagen, Volkswagen and Lee Summit, VW Cypress, and VW Clear Lake. So I've known this guy since I started in the business. He's one of my great mentors, a super fantastic human being and friend. So let's welcome in Bryan Armstrong.
All right. Well, welcome in, car guys, car gals. Help make welcome the one, the only, Bryan Armstrong.
Yeah,
welcome
what's
to
up,
the party,
Bryan?
brother.
How we doing, guys? Glad to be here. Thanks for the intro, Brad. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so Bryan and I are kind of tested by fire, right? Because we were both marketing guys when the diesel issue hit the Volkswagen stores, and we had a lot of back and forth there. And so we've continued throughout my career and his career too, as they've grown to owning 2 stores to 3 stores to 4 stores to probably more stores in the future. He travels all over the place. He actually has stores down here in Texas, so we get to see each other every once in a while. But the guy's just so innovative. And we'll drop a little bomb on the show today. It looks like Bryan and I will be presenting together for the first time ever at Driving Sales. So we're going to be doing something called How to Set Your Service Department up, or your service advisors up for success, like you do your salespeople. So we've been putting it together, been working through it. And it's not, I'm going to tell you this, it's not just using everything that we do at Fixed Ops Digital. It's going to be stuff that you can do even if you don't use us. Do we make it easier? Yes. But it's going to be stuff really interesting. So I'm super pumped about that. I hope Bryan's okay with presenting with me, though. So
Absolutely, I'll try and get a word in edgewise every once in a while.
Yeah, that's gonna be the toughest part in the whole thing. But but I have a feeling that you're gonna hold your own up there, man. I have a feeling because of your credentials, because of what you do, and how Brad looks up to you like that, man. That's mentorship, pure mentorship between you two, and it's great that you guys are able to connect, be able to grow together, be able to share, and to be able to look at somebody like you and say, "Hey, man, this guy's doing it," and that's big. We have to surround ourselves with amazing people. When you surround yourself with people, it elevates your game. And I think that's the same thing for you, Bryan. You get yourself around Brad will elevate your game. He's something exciting. He's somebody that's excited, right? And when you have excitement, man, I take that all day over talent. Like, there's a lot of talent out there. They just don't do anything. They're not excited about what they do. But the ones that are wanting and growing, but super excited, I'll hire them all day. I'll love them to be on my team, right? And because you know that you're going to grow with them.
It's kind of cool. And I've always said that, some forced to climb, and I guess that's never been really more true than really, with Brad and myself, as I sit there and I watch, because every time he said that I'm a mentor, that really means is that when he would ask me questions, I'd have to really look at my own processes, and I'd have to really look at why I did things the way I did before I could really answer. And it forced me to be better as well. So
That's awesome.
That is the relationship. And that's why being a mentor ups your game. When you take it seriously, you will educate yourself even deeper. You'll double check your thing before you educate. Huge. Great call, Brian.
You know what I just thought of, Brian, is this is the first time ever at Driving Sales that two best idea winners present together. Because I won the best idea in 2016 and Brian won the best idea in 2018. So it's the first time two guys that's won that side of it have presented together. So it's gonna be, I'm super pumped about that. And it's cool because we have a really interesting relationship, right? Because sometimes he'll come up with an idea and he'll be like, hey, Brad, I need you to implement this for me in your company. Right. And then sometimes they'll be like, hey, did you hear about this cool new stuff that has nothing to do with fix ops? And so it's just it's so like there's such an exchange to where it's almost like we keep tallies in our brain of like who's ahead, who brought each other like the new idea. And I think that's
not me. I'm not competitive at all.
yeah. So it's funny because that vendor partner relationship, right, which started as a dealership to dealership and a peer-to-peer relationship, and it's grown into like Brian does a lot of nice stuff for us. We try to make sure Brian gets taken care of. If he has a question, he gives us a call. If I have a question where I need some help on something, I give him a call. And that relationship has expanded to Owen, to John Luciano, to like it's starting to include a lot more people, right, Brian, that we met through each other over the years, which has been really neat to see. To see how it's not just growing the relationship with each other, it's sharing that person with other people, right, that can help them or that they can help, right?
Oof. So truth, man. So truth. Yeah. And that's powerful. And Brian, I know you agree with that.
Don't you?
I think it's
absolutely.
Internet issues there, Brian.
Absolutely. Brad's frozen, or if he's there.
I think it's all good. We're working through it. We're going to push through this. But the thing is that when you have that type of relationship, when you find that it really grows. And I'd encourage that for everybody out there. I don't care if you're sales, if you're in fixed ops, if you're doing marketing at a vendor, whatever you do, find those people, find that group of people that are not in your market and then just grow together, learn from each other, push each other. Right. And what you find when you do that is it elevates you. Right. And once again, a rising tide lifts all ships. And there's something about being in that same bay with everybody that's doing what you do, sharing and giving each other ideas. Even if you are in the same market, at the end of the day, what you can lead a horse to water doesn't mean they're going to drink it. So the idea is to give, and you will get back more than you could ever can imagine, right? But it is a good question to ask. You like right next door to me? I don't know, because if that's the case, maybe not. But I get that, right? And I love that. But I love where your relationship's gone, guys. And it is cool. It's cool that you connected each other with other people. You're able to like just be able to pull from each other. Like, hey, look, I don't know the answer, but my friend John does. Hey, I don't know the answer, so let me connect you to them. And then now you're able to find that answer. That is what a network is supposed to be used for, right? And it's beautiful when you can find that. So Lou, speaking of network and speaking of finding somebody you can lean into, this is my homie Lou, right? And Lou, everybody knows that Lou and I, we're the solutionaries. And what we do is we do the same thing. We elevate, we use our network, and we share it with the people that we get to train out there. For you, Brian, what has been something for you using your network that's helped you grow either inside your business or you've seen others get uplifted by using that?
Oh, good grief. You know what? I mean, unfortunately, I can say it's been a 20-year career, but I can say that probably my career has been most impacted from the day that I met the director of operations of our group and one of the dealer partners with Jeff Davis. Seriously. The guy absolutely inspires me with just his passion and his vision and everything else. We were blessed to work with Tom Watkins, who's the dealer principal, and you know what, and David Ibarra, who has been just a godsend. And it's funny because one of the first things he told me is that you got to give until you get. And it's just kind of funny. But as I sit there and I go through all of these things, I would look at the relationships that we impact down the road. And you never know. A salesman that I hired in 2004 is now our general manager at the Southtown store, which is the number 3 dealership in the nation as far as that. And one of the only single point VW stores to ever be the number 1 new car dealer in its state, beating out the Toyota point next door and stuff. So just all these things that others say are impossible. You'd be surprised when you quit focusing on necessarily the result as trying to get the result, but instead change that focus to the people in the process that are then serving your clients and serving your customers, then and run everything through that gamut of saying, okay, if I were the customer, and I wasn't in cars, if I were the customer, would this make sense to me? Or would it need to be explained? And you know what, that really comes into the fixed op side. And that's why I love the fixed ops digital product, is because really it's not a sales tool per se as much as it is education for our clients, which is our customers, to be able to say, okay, what do I need and why do I need it? And when they sit there and they are out there looking, not only do they get educated through the SEO content and some of the other stuff, but also now we compete against the big box stores that are absolutely killing all the dealerships on that post-service warranty work, on the post-service work, that customer pay, that's so integral. So,
amen.
That's an interesting thing that you said there. So just to give you an idea, dealership capture 18% of auto repair across the nation. So there's 82%, and they split 18%. So like it's not one dealership that takes 18%. All of the dealers in one metro area split 18%. But what's interesting, what Bryan does, and the reason why we really wanted to do this presentation is, I'll give you a way that he looks at stuff. Okay. So Fred, if you're a GM, you're a GM of a store and you have 100 cars on your lot, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you sell Chevys, right? So you sell Chevys, there's 100 cars on your lot and there's 10 cars missing out of your inventory. How mad are you?
Oh, dude, I'll be flipping tables over.
Mm-hmm.
You're pissed, right? You're calling the website company, you're calling the inventory company, you're calling whatever, right? All right. So how many different services do we do in the service department? 30, 40 maybe, right? Maybe even more than that, right?
Yeah.
So if all of those services aren't on your website, why are you not flipping the table over?
Ooh,
come on.
So
amen.
Bryan does this where he takes perspectives that we look at things from a sales side and he applies it to every other part of his business, right? Just because now there's multiple ways to look at problems. You can look at it from multiple angles, or you can apply the same perspective to every part of your business, right?
Yeah, man.
You should look at it from both ways. So when you're looking at it from that ways, it's just like Jason Rice the other day, right? We were at driving sales and he says, okay, if someone comes into your lot and the car that you sold, or the car that they were looking for sold, you start flipping them to a new car. But why don't you do that on your internet leads, right? So it's the same type of perspective to where sometimes we need to look at the service department through those sales perspectives to be able to set that service department up like we do the sales side of stuff.
Right. And it is key because sales is sales for the most part. You're still selling, right? No matter which side it is that we're on, whether front of the house, back of the house, not even in the house, right? Selling is selling. If you're doing it e-commerce, digitally, however that works, we're solving the problem for the customer and making it as easy as we can. And I love that you're kind of poking at those that need to have the attention to both sides of that, because we don't so many times there's just not enough emphasis on these things, especially when it's a profit center. If it's a place that you can produce profit inside of your store and you're not giving it the attention, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. You got a hole in your bucket, right? And you're just allowing that money to go elsewhere. And 18%, that's a crazy stat. I didn't know that. That's wow.
That's to let you know that there's so much market out there for a dealer to be able to obtain. So we need to start sharing what they have, because and to Brad's point and to Brian's point, and the reason why I think it makes 100% sense what you're talking about is that if you're not showing all your inventory and service, customers are not going to know that you have that. They're not going to come there. They're going to go to the other store. They're going to go to the, the Valvolines. They're going to go to the Penske's. They're going to go to all these weird places that nobody goes to. Like, I mean, go to a dealership. Dealers, though, you're missing tons of money. I know dealers out there that do a great job. A lot of them actually do Fixed Ops Digital, just so you know, shout out, right? So make sure that you reach out to them. 321 Fred Lou, but that get you some. But that being said, it's truth though. And I think that what I'm saying here, you guys have to understand. If I have a Highline vehicle that I want to sell, and if I don't market it, how do I sell it? Right? I got to get lucky. I got to have that customer
somebody just
shows up and just happens to trip on it. Oh, you got one
that
of those? Oh, I didn't even know you had I just happened to trip on it. And it's the same thing in the service department. They come in, let's say they're there for their warranty work, but then they find out that maybe you offer this other service that they never heard of. They didn't know that the dealership does alignments. They didn't know that the dealership sells tires. They didn't know the dealership does a lot of different things that dealerships do. And a lot of dealers are scared to do because it doesn't sell. It's because you won't market it. Once again, www.fixedopsdigital.com. So go check them out, and they'll be able to show you ways to be able to market that on your websites, be able to press buttons and be able to send out different types of marketing things to be able to help you do so. But it all starts with your customers knowing what you have, and it all starts with your dealership's website showing all those options for them. So when they go search for it, when they go to Google and they look in this type of thing, it pops up because it's on your website.
Yeah.
That is how you get found, my friends. So put it out there. Spend time and know what it is.
I think us looking at things from different perspectives, right, and really diving into there's another problem that happens in dealerships, right, is that, and you got to say this very carefully, but most general managers come up to the sell side, right?
Yes, absolutely, no doubt.
Focus on the fixed op side. So, and there's a couple of places out there, but there's really not a close-knit community of fixed ops people like there is on marketing side or the internet side, right? I mean, you have guys like Ted Ings and you have guys like Greg Noonan that puts on the Mopar show, which is maybe the best. It might be the best show in all of automotive, the way he puts it on. He does a really good job, but there's guys out there that are trying really hard. But it's really hard to get some really solid people on the fix-up side to rely on. And, that's why I'm glad that we're able to come on here and bring guys like Brian in here who has the dude he's probably solved more problems in automotive than maybe anybody out there, right? So I know he's solved more problems. I solve problems every day, and he's got me smoked, right? So I think that's the biggest thing is finding a team of people around you on the fixed up side that are problem solvers that can really jump in and help you and give you ideas, and being just so radically open to feedback and criticism and stuff like that, because that side of the business is behind. And, my goal, and I know Brian's goal, you guys' goal is to kind of catch that up and create a community where people can ask questions and come up with stuff and throw curveballs. And that's why I wasn't worried when Brian came on here. We had no agenda at all. He's a curveball hitter. He can hit every curveball I throw at the guy. So,
oh man, no doubt.
So I'm going to throw one now. So Brian, as far as from a process standpoint in your service department, what are some things that you've implemented over your time at the 4 different dealerships that really just revolutionized how you see things and how things flow and stuff like that? And I have one on my end that I'll share after that, but that's a good question for you.
Okay. Let's talk first off with, it starts with the attitude. So nobody can accomplish anything that they don't believe is possible. So there's a lot of contention between the front and the back of the house. The very first thing that I always do is try to eliminate that and realize how symbiotic that the two departments are. Number two is that the advisors in your service department, 9 times out of 10, they think of sales as just a dirty word. They absolutely do. So here's one of the things that you do. And when you meet and greet the customer and you're asking what they're there to do, as you walk around the car and as you take your iPad out and you take videos and you're maybe taking a shot of the door ding and you're saying, oh, by the way, we do have a dentless paint repair. I can look into that for you if you ever want to take advantage of it. Oh, by the way, do you know whether we have a battery upgrade or a battery cleaning process, or can I take this fog off your headlights and it'd only be this? So as you go through these things, and I started this back at a Nissan store when I was their director for, a couple decades ago, but we started with just a sales process for the service to where you literally would go out. And this is back when you had the old red, yellow, and green check sheets. And as you're going out, and the way that was presented was simply nothing more than saying, okay, great. And we're going to start with green. We're going to say first and foremost, okay, congratulations. I wanted to go over first off, this is why your vehicle is performing so awesomely. This is all safe. This is all good things. Hey, these are the yellow categories. I did want to let you know your brakes are at 530 seconds. We recommend a replacement after 330 seconds. Here's the deal. You don't need it right now. Would absolutely be willing to do them for you, but you don't need them. But you may start hearing some noise. You do want to put that ahead in your budget. I know as a consumer, I don't like unexpected expenses. So I wanted to give you a heads up that this is coming up. Now, that brings us to the things that really brought you in. And these are only the issues that are impacting the wear and tear or the safety or the performance of your vehicle or the longevity of it. And these are the things that are in the red column. Now, the total to fix all of these today is only $11.82, whatever, and then shut up. And as you present that, number two, rather than let people process, you've got to be able to say, okay, and to ask again for that service. Because as a client advisor, and this is something we ingrain, is that as an advisor, you're not even doing the basic tenets of the name of your job if you're not advising people about their automotive needs, and they don't know what they need and what they don't need. And so by you being so pompous as to make their decision for them or to not push them for what's best for them, sometimes you're hurting their connection with the dealership, which in turn affects our retention in the front of the house, and in turn reflects profitability all the way around the dealership, which means that we're able to stay here and serve them longer. So when you go down and say, okay, hey, the second time, well, you know what? There are this item, and this item that maybe we could move to the next time, and we'll be able to do that. You'll need another oil change. And for Nissan at the time, it was every 3,750 miles because it was a 7,500 mile thing, but we were in a harsh weather condition in sure. Utah. So say, great, the next time you come in for an oil change, maybe we'll add this, and this. So it'll only now be up to $200. And 3 months after that, we'll do this, and this, which will then be another $300. And the next month, this, and this, which will be another $300. So by the time a year from now, you come back for that final one, we'll have completed everything that's in the red and in the yellow. Your car will be up to things. You won't worry about voiding your warranty and everything else. That relationship. As the internet changed and as people became able to search more about what they wanted to do for their own car care needs and determine ahead of time what was needed and what was not, decided that maybe the times of the client advisor relationship with the service advisor were starting to fade. And I believe that they are, especially with some of the liquidity that we have in people going from job to job. So we started doing walk around videos. Now I remember when I used to get haircuts, and yes, it was a while ago, but nonetheless, when I got haircuts, I didn't go to the shop. I went to Julie. Julie used to cut my hair, and she had ways of making my mullet just thrive.
Nice.
Go. When I sat there, and it didn't matter whether Julie was at Regis or Great Clips or wherever, I was following Julie.
Sure.
So here's the thing. We started doing the walk around with the tech, the person that's actually working on their car, a video walk around. Every customer that pulls into anybody on the Feel Good Auto Group's service drive anywhere is going to get a video of their car personalized from the tech that is going to be doing the work and saying, okay. And they're always going to start with the things that are great and wonderful about their car and need absolutely no attention, because we want to reaffirm how good the product is that we're selling in the front of the house from the people in the back of the house.
Yes.
So we start with that, and then we go over those same things. Here's a couple things you're probably going to want to be aware of, but you don't need to fix right now, but you put them on your radar. Which brings us to these. I'm recommending this, this, and this. Otherwise, your vehicle, I'll turn you back now over to your service advisor. Thanks for coming to Feel Good Auto. So when that video goes out, we be able to see exactly what the customer, and with products like Brad's and products like, being able to track who's on their website and what pages they viewed and everything else, you can get a complete picture of where the customer's mindset are. Now, if you don't offer those services, now I'm taking it out of the service advisor's hands to where the customer knows, because they've seen firsthand third-party affirmation from somebody they trust that's been working on their car for a while, though they've never met them in person. And now I can say, hey, no, you know what? Dylan, your advisor, your tech said I needed this, and I don't care who you are. He told me I trust him. He didn't lie to me on the last 3 videos. He's not lying to me on this one. I'll get a way to figure it out. And because they've done that, they viewed the video, they can go on our website, see what is this he's talking about. That impacts this, this, and this. Wow, that is something I need to do. I guess I better do it. And so it's a holistic journey for everybody. And we talk about this all the time in the front of the house. So why don't we talk about it in the service drive, when we know that the customer is going to be more educated about the things that they need to do to care for their car. And in turn, that has led to where you have that, 60, 70% retention rate. But here's the cool thing, is that when we get that alert back into the front of the house, now our guys, our sales force, don't approach the customer until after that work is completed, because my door rate may or may not be lower than my internal rate, which means that if I can get the customer to take care of their car or okay the work, whether they trade it in or not, they're still in a better position.
Yep.
Because now I can look at that. My recon on the car has gone down. My service advisor isn't trying to hold off the front of the house at bay from taking the work away from it. And my recon costs have gone down because the customer's already insured that, even if it ends up being a WEO bill from the other deal. I know that that service bill that I'm paying now is still going to be less than it would be if I charged internally. Well, guess what? I get a better reconditioned car, a happier customer, and a happier service drive, because now process has brought the front and the back of the house together instead of working against each other.
Again, I want to just point out something just real quick. Gold, platinum, that's diamond level. That was amazing, my friend. Just so you know, that process there, folks, fantastic. But you hear how he started everything. The process has been the same in a sense, right? Even before the digital age, you always start with great news. You always come out with something positive. You know what that does to a customer's demeanor? Take away the fact that you're covering yourself, you're covering the front of the house, the back of the house. Everyone's happy because you're not dogging anyone. And that's the other side. Don't dog anyone for anything. It's no one's fault. Vehicles are vehicles. Things happen. Conditions happen where you live. There's a million reasons why something can happen to a vehicle. It has nothing to do with the way it was sold or the way that it was. That being said, positivity. You inject the positivity. Their shoulders open. They'll hear what you have to say so much faster than coming in with negativity. Right.
Yeah,
so you have to understand that. That's powerful. Wow.
At all times, you want to take care of the customer first and realize that, they come in apprehensive. And so it's our job, as whether you're a client advisor in the front of the house or a client advisor, a service advisor in the back of the house, it doesn't matter. our first and foremost priority should be to move them from apprehensive to cooperative. And you do that by making sure that you understand where they feel. And part of understanding how they feel is understanding the journey that brought them to where they are. So
that is why it's such
how do I even follow that? So here's one thing that I would add to this that I think is really important. It's really important that your service advisors, and even more so with COVID, right? It's even important that, when we're selling warranty in the finance department, how many times does a warranty person come in and train your service advisors so they know if it's covered when they're coming in? So one thing that John does really well at Street Volkswagen that he is everybody in the service department knows if it's covered. So if you know that it's covered and it needs to be done coming up, how much easier is it to tell, right? Because it's already in the warranty. So if you're not training your service advisors alongside your finance directors on the warranties that you offer, that's a super big point.
Making a note, Brad.
So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, do you know who makes the best finance advisors? Service advisors, because they're already used to selling off a menu. So it's a natural progression to skip sales altogether and go into finance because they're already used to it.
Wow, Brad, I never thought of that perspective, man. That is
to Brian's point, right? They're selling safety, right? They're not selling stuff. So once you explain a service advisor that you're not selling anything, you're just making sure that these people are safe before they leave. And you're creating a safety plan for these people, right? And so there's also like another part to that is there's also animosity between service and parts, and sometimes parts and technicians. And so if you have any sort of that animosity, make them switch roles for a day. Make them switch roles for a day so they know what that other person goes through, right? It being a guy that John kind of made me do some parts inventory and some service stuff and all kinds of stuff. Some of those jobs are really, really, really stressful. If you think that service advisors see our customers 6.7 times to every one time our salespeople see them. So if you're having any sort of animosity, the biggest thing I can tell you, or you're having any sort of problems, is cross-train, right? What does that also do? If your parts guy goes out, you have a service guy that can jump in. If your service advisor goes out, your parts guy can jump in. And so in this world of pandemics that we were living in for a little while, how important is that to have multiple utility players that can plug and play, right? So same thing that Nick Varney did the other day. He had a technician fall and break his leg. He brought the technician back in, and he was a service advisor, and he was training the technicians on what the service advisors expected to see. So you just have to, whenever it throws you a problem like that, you have to do have you ever seen the movie The Martian?
Yes.
You got to work the problem. Just work the problem. Don't freak out. Don't cry. Don't do anything. Just start working the problem. And I think that's the best thing that you can do. And sometimes working the problem is not working it yourself and calling someone that can help you, right? So that's the theme that goes through the show, right? Is that everybody that we bring on here is always down to help anybody, right? As long as they're not in their market.
Yes, man. Way to bring that back around to that. Yeah. Love it, man.
Right.
I absolutely love how you highlighted switching jobs for the day. Let's switch hats. You jump in my chair, I'm gonna jump in yours.
Sometimes you have to walk a mile in someone's shoes. You do.
And I tell you this, we had our COO out for like a week on vacation. I don't want to switch into his job. I'll tell you that. He's got Kevin Coleman does a fantastic job. He's behind the scenes. You don't see him on a lot of stuff, but that man does a great job for our company. And I jumped into his shoes for a half a week, and I was like, this is insane.
So I said, yeah, I'm out on these.
Yeah.
But question on that, and this could float, between Brian and Brad, and from the exposure that you all have seen over the time. How much have you ever seen? Because I know on the sales side, we haven't seen too many operations that have everybody cross-referenced in everybody's job. Sometimes if one person's gone, good luck, right? And everybody's, everybody's ticked off, everybody's upset, everybody's trying to get a hold of them. It's the day off and phone's off. It is what it is, right? And so that isn't much on the sales side. How much is that actually on the service side, and where have you seen that really be successful? That cross-reference, that cross.
I think you are starting to see it on the sales side, because you're starting to see people, stores that do one contact, right? They're finance director. They usually work their deals. They do the whole thing, right?
Right. And we've seen it. I haven't seen it much on the sales side.
Yeah,
we did it the way that we operated our stores. Everybody knew how to do everybody's job, and we filled in accordingly. But not every operation is that ninja, especially in the independent sector. There still is this fight that we keep seeing of whose role is going to be what, because so many times they do try to put on each other's hats, but then they leave these gaps inside of what's getting done, and then there isn't enough reference or training that gets everybody on the same page. But how much have you all seen that in the service side?
Yeah,
well, I think we do it on both sales and service, and here's how. And this is something that everybody's involved in every training that we do, regardless of what you're training. When you're training salesmen, your finance be in there, because if they don't know how a deal is being done, if you're training your techs, your service riders should be in there, because otherwise, how do they know what they're dealing with? I mean, we sit there and no, the other thing is get rid of, I mean, Jeff Davis, but he always calls special teams. So if you look at the NFL, and there's a lot of players that maybe they're big names, but they play special teams, and they're just that. They're extremely good at doing the role that they have. They may not be good in everything, but they're extremely good at knowing the role that they have. So knowing your role and being on special teams can go side by side. That doesn't mean you don't have to understand the whole game, because the best special teams players absolutely understand the entirety of the game. So, but that has to be because they're there in the practice with the other players. So put all your people into practice in everything. They don't have to play in the game in that role, but they should practice in that role.
I love that, Brian.
That's 100% right.
Love it. I think that's a interesting thing, right? Because here's another thing that's really interesting. Most of your people that work for you have hidden skills that you don't know.
Yes. You should, very insightful.
90%. So what we found is, if you survey your people, you'll find out one of them's probably an HTML coder. One of them's probably really good at graphic design. One of them's probably really one of them might be, we found one guy that was just a porter, and he was like super into cars. He wasn't a technician, but he'd work on cars on the side. And so they brought him in and made him a technician and started putting him through stuff. And so it's like, there's a lot of hidden talents into your thing, and we're out here trying to recruit, which we know it's hard to get people right now. If you look from within first and you figure out what those talents are first, then you can start to know who's going to be able to be cross-trained or not, right? So I'm not saying everybody is, but if you have some people not getting along, that's a good opportunity. Or if you have some people that are wanting to move up, because how valuable, the one thing that's really cool, right, is like if you're cross-trained and you work in there's this kid at Volkswagen, he was working in pretty much every department, right? Guess what else you get to do? You get to spread his salary across 4 or 5 different departments, right? Because he helps out everywhere, right? It's not everybody's taking a hit. So how much more job security does that person have? And so if you're able to explain that when you're doing that, that's very valuable too. So
heck yeah.
Nice. And it's interesting comment that you made. I think that part of the problem in automotive right now, and this is something that's been going on for a while, is number one, we pigeonhole people, and number two, there is this hierarchy, this ranking, this thing, and whether it's by salary amount or whether it's by title. And I think that we've traditionally paid people more for managing money than we do for managing people. And that's something that I'm very passionate about, that I feel that should change, because if we don't start putting more emphasis on serving the people that actually generate the money, I think that we are an antiquated model that will go by the wayside, because without the people, you might as well be Amazon.
Wow.
Bryan, yes, and yes again, right? And I agree with you 100% there. It is. We do. It's like it's a shame that people who are great managers of people, leaders of people, coaches of people. I mean, look at our educators in schools. You know, it's the money is just not given to those. It's not important. Even though it's one of the most important things that we have. So when we're sitting in a workplace and you have somebody who, great, he can manage money, fantastic, and we overpay them in a way, right? But that money is only there because of these people. Now imagine if you had great managers of those people, pay them extremely well, and how good would those people turn out, right? And then you want to talk about the money counter. They're going to make even more money. It's just going to stack up, but you have to level it out and really focus on the people. People above all, right? I remember hearing so many times in the last year that people it's the biggest part of everything. People, process, product, right? You always people first. But I also heard something about people are the new currency. It's who you have in your store. You know, it's the future. I agree too. You might as well be Amazon if you don't include your people, you know, but you know what's so crazy is Amazon takes care of their people. That's the craziest part too. So there's a reason why things work, and it's about the people first, hands down. Give it up to you for that, man. Great call on that. I'm sure Lou would agree on that too. I mean, I know Lou's all about the people.
100%. All about the people, baby. But that's why, like, looking at this and understanding that we have so much that seems like it divides us as far as the goals of the store and all of these different departments and all of these things that we want to key into. But I think that it's just making sure that we mesh together that language in between the stores, in between the departments, in between the goal, to where it is celebrated that service is hitting their goals, sales are hitting their goals, and making sure that we bring in the highlights of the moments where those good assists came in, right? A good service handover to sales gets celebrated, just like a good sales handover to service is celebrated. And that when the ultimate solution for the customer gets attained, we're all celebrating. But ultimately, instead of selling the cars or selling the service, we're solving the transportation problem, right? That's ultimately what we're all there to do, is solve that problem for the customer. But inside of that, of course, the culture inside of the store can't have us contentious against each other. That just slows down how we get the ball into the hoop, how we put scores on the board for our end of the quarter meeting, right? If we didn't find the times to celebrate how those good handoffs were, well, we don't get more of that behavior. And I'm sure that you've seen a lot over the time, Bryan. I mean, what are maybe where are some of the cultures that you've seen and been like, man, those boys got it. They got it out there. Where have been some of those spots that you've been able to see?
Oh, I think, you know what? I would say that Southtown's got it. VW Southtown, they're in Salt Lake City. I 100% would. I'm sorry, my service director just walked by my office. He actually was the parts manager at Southtown, and now he's the service director in Lee's Summit. He moved to KC. So, nice. You know what? There's a guy who has empathy for both sides of it. One of the things that's kind of cool is that a lot of times, look, problems are going to happen on the daily in any dealership, you know, internal, external, whatever. And one of the things that we've always said is that the small-minded man looks for who's to blame. You know, maybe somebody who is a little more intelligent, informed, they go around and then they blame themselves, saying, okay, you know what could I have done to prevent the problem? Truly enlightened person realizes that blame doesn't matter. Blame. That's the last thing you need to solve. And instead, first time, we're always looking, a lot of people will look for, okay, why did this happen? Where's the blame? And the blame doesn't matter. What really is important is everybody cognizant of what they need to do to better the program, to better the process, to better the guest experience, and to really just take care of the customer. And that's what's so cool is that I've seen techs stay after of their own accord to do PDIs because they know the sales department can't function without those cars. And I've seen, you know what, flipping sales defer heat for the service department because they know how slammed they are and not overpromise, because saying, hey, no, it's going to be 2 weeks. I promise you. I know it's just tint. I know it's just sublet. I know it's just this, but the reality of it is I don't want to, you know what, to put you into a position, to put that back end of the house into a position where they're going to have to, you know, fade my heat, which then reflects on CEI and CSI, and then reflects on retention and sets that customer journey and their experience off on a bad step. So,
I agree.
You know, it's 100% takes everybody front and back, not looking for blame first and foremost, but rather looking for the solution first and foremost, and then how they can better it.
Yeah,
sounds like a solutionary.
I love it. You are a solutionary, and that's exactly what needs to be happening. You know, and I you know, people used to say the front and the back, right? I believe it's side by side, and I think we're starting to see dealerships now that are built almost like where you have the service right here in the front and that, so they're side by side, and it should be that way. It should be one uniform team, right? And I believe what you said there is great. Like, you know, being able to deflect for the backs, you know, the side for the service department, while the service department's making sure that the front side of the house is getting taken care of. And so many things. It's like getting involved. Like if I'm in sales and I see that you guys are busy and you got to get some cars moved around this way to be able to help, I'm going to go over there and help you. And same thing. And it's all one team, right? One team, one mission, and it's to help our customers, whether it's buy a car, whatever it is to do with their vehicle, tires, brakes, everything, purchase, trade, you know, anything you can imagine. That's what we want to do at the store. And
it's funny on the front, you know, on the sales side, we sit there. I get desk manager all the time that'll ask me, well, how do I get more appointments? How do I get more appointments? This is easy. You know what? Start celebrating them. Start acknowledging them. That, you know what gets paid attention to? The things that are inspected. And so we sit there, we do a great job on the sales department and in the service department of usually celebrating the wins, and the wins are always the things that are at the end of the process. So swim upstream. You want to make an impact on the end of the process, start celebrating the next thing up line that you need attention to. Celebrate the next one, celebrate the next one. Instead of saying, okay, oh, great job, get me a deal jacket, you got a deal. Why not say, oh, great job, you know what? I see that you followed up with this customer for a long time and you set an appointment and they're coming in. Dude, I look forward to being able to help. Let me know what I can do to serve you and make sure that we take care of them and get the result that you want. So start celebrating. You know, you want to see more walkarounds and more upselling from your service advisors. Start celebrating when you see them get out of their chair and meet the customer at their car and say, hey, welcome to How May I Be of Service. Start celebrating when you say, dude, I saw how you met and Gret. Yeah, that's a car guy vernacular. Sorry. I saw how you greeted that customer with, you know what, by name. Dude, that was strong. Thank you for knowing them. That was awesome. So start calling out the behavior you want to enforce.
Yes. Boy, do I preach the same thing, my friend Brian. You are a 100% CGC approver. I'm like blown away. Yes.
Hey, you know, Fred, they say us rednecks can't talk down here in Texas, but grit. Hey, so one thing I think is important, right? Whether you're on the sales side or the service side, right?
Yeah.
This is the key to being successful if you're a service advisor or a salesperson, right? And this is the thing that should be, like Brian said, celebrated the most, okay? Is if you're a true manager, you teach your people how to self-assess themselves. So you teach them, like, if they didn't get an upsell on something and it was there, you teach them how to self-assess. That's the only way you're going to get better. There's a beautiful man that Brian knows, I know, you guys know. His name's Damian Boudreaux. He taught me a long time ago, to get someone to truly change, you can't question them. You have to allow them to question themselves. And that's that self-assessment is really how you continue to grow, is because you can go through, when I was selling cars, I'd go through and I'd be like, oh man, that deal broke down. Okay, well, where did that deal break down? Well, it broke down right here. I didn't spend enough time right here, or I missed that hot button that they had, or I didn't do this, or I didn't, you know what I mean? And so the ability to do that without beating yourself up, maybe a little bit of beating yourself up, and to grow from it is super, super important. And we don't teach that enough. And I think that's one thing that Bryan does that's really important is that's why guys are willing to move from Utah to Lee Summit, Missouri, right?
True that.
Bryan helped him grow to get there, right? And it's just leading them to allow themselves to self-assess, which is super. That's probably one of the biggest keys to being successful in the car business. It really is.
I like to surround myself with people that are a lot smarter than me.
That's
like
very
I said,
easy for me.
Yeah.
It's he's so fun. But yes, there's something about that, because when you do, you tend to elevate to that. You learn more, you grow more. It pushes you and challenges you because you want to be at that level, and you're able to pull from those levels, right? Hey, let me ask you a question. Great. Thanks. No, wow. Thank you. And every time you're getting lifted up more. So it is important. That's why I hang out with Brad. I love it. This has been great. Bryan, to get this thing closed out, let's talk about what the future of what you're doing is. Like, I know that you're involved with so many different stores right now, and you're doing some amazing things. Where do you see yourself going in 5 years?
Me, I don't know. When it gets boring, I'll retire. But I mean, I don't know. I wake up every morning. I'm excited. It's fun. I think that right now we are on the cusp of dangerous times. And what I mean by that is that the last couple years have done a lot to open up and degrade the automotive industry. And when we sit there, and at first it opened it up because we sat there and we turned more towards digital retailing. We turned more towards, concierge service in the service department, to where we're going to go out and pick up your car and bring it in and yada, yada. We did what we had to be able to make sure that we kept the doors open and the customers taken care of. And then all of a sudden the manufacturers started to put out inventory again. And all of a sudden we said, oh, wait a minute. Now we have the only car for 14 miles. They have to come to us if they want this. And now we got the only one for 140 miles, or the only one in 1,400 miles. And so they have to come to us. And so all of a sudden gross profits went up at many dealerships. People started charging over sticker, which we don't, but there are a lot that did. And so all of a sudden, we started holding the guests hostage. We started and it validated everything that a lot of old school leaders said, is that internet is a fad. It'll go away. And I knew it. Yeah. You know what? Look, and we've even got people out there now that are banging their hands on their chest saying, hey, if they want an appointment, they'll have to wait, because that's what, that's the next availability I have. If they want the car, they'll have to come to us and pay the price, or else, because this is the only one out there. Well, guys, this too shall pass. And if you don't think that customer that paid over sticker had to wait 2 weeks to get a flat fixed and they've had to miss work or not be able to go to 15 stores to be able to find baby formula, so you don't think they're going to remember that? You don't think that the people are going to remember the way that they were treated, whether intentionally or not, all behind justification? No. We had an opportunity right now to bridge gaps, knock down walls, and be able to really open up the doors and let people see back behind the process. And part of that seeing is letting them know that we're human and we understand their situation. And believe it or not, if we educate them more about the product and the process and the business model that we have, then they would be more willing to participate in it and for a longer time. And if not, we'll eventually get litigated out of this, franchise model.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's so insightful. And exactly what I was looking to pull out of you, and I think that, It's exactly right. It's gonna happen if we don't get our game together.
Mhm.
If we don't start to do what we're supposed to do as humans to humans, educating, managing people, leading people, coaching people, doing the same thing with our clients, being transparent, being able to give them a seamless process. I mean, I can keep going and going and going about what we need to do. A lot of us are talking about it. Not a lot of us are doing it. And I love that your stores are doing it, Bryan. That's fantastic. I love that you guys are looking for improvement all the time. Be adaptable, my friends.
Mhm.
And I think we've seen this over time. And Bryan talked about it. He gave us examples of 3 different stages in the process of how you presented things. And it became more, it evolved similar, but it evolved. It wasn't exactly the same.
Oh, and this
Yeah,
isn't all me by any means, by any means.
No,
You know,
absolutely.
I work with some of the best of the best of the best. Like I said, if it weren't for, our director of operations, if it weren't for his mentor, if it weren't for the owner that we have, if it weren't for all of these people, none of this would be possible, because they empower you and then they say, go and make it better. And you know what? Then that allows me to go to my people and say, okay, here's what I know. I'm going to give you everything I know. Now make it better. Now put you into it and make it better. And then they can go to their people and so on and so forth. And so as soon as you start serving those below you, you actually get better at the top as well.
That's so true. And you probably have plenty of people that can turn their eyes back to you and say, thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for challenging me. And
that's the payoff.
Absolutely.
That's the real payoff.
There it is.
For me anyway. So yeah.
Strong. Awesome.
That's not what he told me earlier today.
I was waiting for Brad. I was waiting for him to drop something like that.
No. It's funny because we talk about stuff all the time because we're both highly competitive, right? But we both have such a respect for each other. Like when he wins, I win. When I win, he wins. So it's a cool thing. And I think that what's interesting, if you're looking at the service side of stuff, right? Before there were 16 million cars supposed to re-enter and get sold, 16 million used cars. And so that's cut down considerably, right? Because of new car inventory. So what are those people going to have to do with those cars? They're probably going to have to service them, right?
Yep, exactly right.
So now's our time. We're poised right now. Now's our time to get our processes and get our websites and get everything matching each other, right? Get our websites matching our process in the store, get our websites matching the process or the services that we offer, get our technologies and our flow updated, like we update our sales process, and put the same attention on the service side as we do the sales side. Because what happens, service turns into sales, right? It's a lot easier to sell a $29.99 oil change than it is a $30,000 car. But you can start to build on that once you get those people in. And so I think with people having you can't have a siloed mindset anymore if you're a sales manager.
But it's got to start, Brad, with exactly what? Does the customer even understand that 5-minute oil change, that $29.95 oil change, the average ticket's actually going to be, $38, and that involves shoving a vacuum stick down the dipstick, not taking off the filter and dumping some new oil in top, or not using a proprietary blend that enhances their warranty. Educate the customers first so that you can add value. Quit talking about price, add value. Those are different equations.
Spot on, because if you go shop on Amazon, right, you get options and price. That's the first thing you see. Options, price. You click on the option or the price that you like, and then you have every detail known to man on that product, right? And so that's the way that consumers are used to shopping, right?
Yeah,
they want options, pricing, transparency, and then they want to know everything about that product. And that's how we're trained. And so I think Bryan's spot on there. I was just using the $29.99 for example, but you can get them in. You can get them into the service department way cheaper than you can in the sales department. And it starts that relationship. The problem is a lot of dealerships just want it easy. They don't want to do the work. And so you have to do the work and build the relationships. You have to do the work. It's all relationship based. It's no longer transactional. Especially the problem right now is the market is trying to force it to be transactional. So what's going to happen when it moves back to relation? All those transactional dealerships are going to lose massive amounts of market share. If you stay relationship based in a transaction market, you're going to gain so much more market share that way.
100%.
That's strong.
As simple as that, my friends. As simple as that. Understand that, when we talk about this, and I'm going to just do a quick little recap of everything, my friends. Like, think about this once again. 18%. That is all we're getting as dealers in the whole grand scheme of everything. 18% of that coming into our service department compared to the other 82% going to everywhere else.
Huge.
We need to make sure that we talk about our products on our websites, just like we talk about our vehicles. Don't have anything missing. You have it all there. This way your customers know where you're at, how to get a hold of you, and how to search. When they search for that product, your dealership will pull up. So make sure you do that. Number 2, fixopsdigital.com. Make sure you reach out to them. You get hooked up with them, right? Because they're amazing. And number 3, Bryan, I want to thank you for all the insight that you brought in, man. Amazing stuff. Folks, it's about the people. It's about having the right processes for them. It's about making sure that you're not stepping on the front side or the side, whatever you want to call it. We're not fighting. We're not sitting here and doing this argument. We are helping each other. We are one team. We are one mission, and that's to help people get better in their lives, make sure that their vehicle problems are taken care of, right? Yep. And that's what we do. This was great, man. This was a great show. I really appreciate the insight here. Bryan, it was a pleasure to get to know you. Brad, what are you thinking, brother?
Man, I think we're ready for the next show. Supposedly, Mr. Owen Moon's going to be on with Tully coming up.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey.
Yeah,
we do. So be watching out for that show, my friends.
So I think that's the next one coming up. Is that right?
That is the next one coming up. Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Next month. We got that set up. We've already got that confirmed. So we got Tully Williams coming on, my friends. If anybody knows who Tully is, you're going to have a great time. If you guys really enjoyed this show, same kind of insights, same kind of amazingness. We're going to have somebody much like Bryan when it comes to the passion, their knowledge, and what they try to do, and the energy that they bring. Bryan, you bring some amazing energy with what you do. We appreciate that, man.
Appreciate it.
Same thing with Tully, man. I'm sure you probably know who Tully is. And if you don't, watch the show next week. You'll really love this guy. You guys will end up becoming best friends. Awesome stuff, man.
Well, car gals, make sure that you absolutely blow up Bryan, Brad, Fred, myself, everybody at Fixed Ops Digital. Make sure that you let Owen Moon know that he wasn't present for an incredible show. But we want to make sure that we do show love to everybody that did participate. Thank you so much, Michelle, for spending so much time. She threw so many comments on there, and we didn't get the chance to get to most of them while she was on. We love you, appreciate you. Thank you so much for everybody that's been participating. Car guys, car gals, you know what we got to do before we finish up any show that happens here in the Car Guy Coffee Cafe. Bryan, you get to do it for the first time here on the show, and that's to apply 3 F's, and that's forgive, focus, and fly. So help me do it on 3 as we get ready to wrap up this show.
Put your hands on the
shoulders, and repeat after me on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Forgive.
Focus. Fly.
And keep growing.
There we go.
Bryan, appreciate you.
I've never seen that. That's awesome.
Another great Fixed Ops Friday, folks. If you guys like this show, this is our 5th show already. If you go back, you can watch a lot of the replays. You can see it on carguycoffee.com. I know that Fixed Ops Digital is going to be putting some marketing out with some of those shows too, so be looking out for some of those sneak peeks. Great show. Thank you, Bryan, once again. Lou, you're the man. Brad, love you.
Take it easy.
Bye, guys.